World leaders are offering their condolences to the families and loved ones of the more than 240 people reported to have lost their lives in a tragic plane crash in India on Thursday. Mark Carney said he was devastated to learn of the air disaster that had claimed so many lives, including that of a Canadian. And Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the tragedy has stunned and saddened us. It is heartbreaking beyond words. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand also paid her respects to the lives that were lost in the accident.
Mr. Speaker, we will address that question in a moment, but I am devastated to learn of the Air India crash that occurred earlier this morning. The flight was carrying 242 people, one of whom was Canadian. We are in touch with our international partners, and I have been speaking with Canadians this morning. I am sure that all members of this House will join in extending our collective condolences to the families of those who have lost loved ones this morning. Thank you.
Aviation expert John Gradek joined us earlier for more on the Air India crash.
John, thank you so much for the time today.
My pleasure to be here.
Now, how common is it for a plane to go down so shortly after takeoff?
While 90% of the world's commercial airplane crashes take place either during takeoff or landings, it is the most critical part of flight. Ask any commercial pilot, he'll tell you that, there has to be undivided attention placed on the way in which they pay attention to all of the actions associated with takeoff and landing. So it is a critical part of flight, but to see a modern airliner such as the 787 last for about 27 seconds in flight, it's unheard of. So it's something that requires a lot of understanding as to what happened in the cockpit and on board that airplane.
And right now, what do we know about the potential cause of the crash? It's been mentioned that shortly after takeoff, the pilot actually called Mayday to the air traffic controller. But has anything come of it being a mechanical issue or anything else?
Yeah, there was a Mayday call about 3 seconds after liftoff. So that tells me that, the crew noticed something going on with the airplane. The airplane did a full takeoff rollout and achieved takeoff speed, which is about 200 kilometers an hour. Both engines operating properly. And then as it got off the ground, within about 3 or 4 seconds, the flight crew did notice a problem and called the radio, but there's only a one-way conversation from the cockpit to ATC. ATC asked for more information. There was no answer, and then we saw the crash. So it really was, a sequence of events that was really, compressed in 27 seconds. The airplane catastrophically crashed into a residential.
And was there a black box on this plane, and has it been recovered? And how long would it take for that information to come out?
Yeah, this is, like I said, this is a new airplane, relatively new airplane, built in 2014, 15. It has state-of-the-art black boxes, as we call them. There's a flight data recorder, and there's a cockpit voice recorder on those airplanes. And they basically provide to the microsecond, what was going on with that airplane and all of its major components. So it's fully recorded. The voice cockpit recorder reports all the conversation going on in the cockpit. Both boxes have been recovered this morning, and they're on their way to the Indian Civil Aviation Authority's labs for download and analysis. So now the box is reported. We should have a preliminary answer from the Indian board within the 72 hours. So by the end of the weekend, by Monday, we should have some early indications as to what happened. The detail as to, root cause and all of that stuff. Another report coming out within 30 days and a full scale report coming out within a year.
And it has been confirmed that there was one survivor on this plane. What do we know about how they survived?
Absolutely miraculous. From what we understand, before the fireball hit on that airplane, the airplane had touched the ground. The fuselage cracked into at least 2 parts, and this passenger was sitting right at the edge of this fissure, this crack in the fuselage, buckled into his seat on seat 11A. As soon as that fuselage cracked open, he got off. He unbuckled the seatbelt, jumped out of the airplane, and ran. And within seconds, the fireball hit and engulfed the whole airplane. So he instinct hit, and he was lucky to get away with just, minor or, superficial injuries. So it was lucky. Miracle.
Well, John, thank you so much for the time today.
My pleasure, Theresa. Have a great day. Take care.